Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I'm the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme. I'm the Phantom Menace, he who remains, the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once again as the subtle voice of the Vasectomites. And today, I wanted to demonstrate once again why you need to be aware of your false instincts and be vigilant against your own impulses. In every moment where you are inclined to take action, either against something or force someone else, or even worse, dare I say, to prevent or try to prevent something bad from occurring to them, or prevent some type of harm or damage happening to them. I need you in those moments when you feel the inclination to act, where you feel the impulse or the instinct to step forward. I need you to stop in that moment, and then I need you to do absolutely nothing. Just drop your hands to the side, stop moving your feet, stand and use only your eyes. Just observe. Don't observe in order to analyze or doing anything. No. That means to do something. Simply stop all activity and observe. Say nothing and do nothing. And I'm talking especially to you knee benders out there, to you knee benders that always want to be the hero, that always want to be the savior, and you want to achieve this hero status through action and through the use of force. For those of you who may be walking around outside and be witness to a crime taking place, or perhaps you may be out one night celebrating your life, and you may see a counterpart being violently assaulted or seemingly needlessly assaulted. In those moments, here's what I need you to do. I need you to stop moving. I need you to look at what you see. Just have a look at it and move on with your life. Just carry on about your day and continue to conduct your private business and live out the rest of your life as if this incident doesn't even exist. Just look at it and move on. I don't care what it is. I don't care what the incident is. If the incident doesn't involve you personally directly, if this is not your plan, if this is not something that you have devised within your own mentality and your own imagination, you don't need to be part of it. You don't need to be part of a group of people that are doing some activity, right? Even no matter how popular that activity is, if that activity is not something that you created within your own mentality, you don't need to be part of it. I don't care if you see a crying baby inside of a burning building, just thoroughly being engulfed by flames and full of smoke. I don't care if it is a drowning elder citizen, having a tough time kicking and staying afloat in the water. It doesn't matter to me if you see a weak and fragile old lady being mugged. You need to you need to you need to look at that child, right? You need to look that senior citizen and that old lady that's being mugged, that child who the flames are surrounding them. They can already feel the intensity of the heat and they're crying from pain. And that senior citizens whose legs and muscles have atrophied from the cold and exhaustion, right? Or that old lady that is being taken advantage of by a hardened criminal and a thug, right? I need you to look them straight in the eye. I mean, look them in the eye from the distance. Make them aware of your presence. Like, you need to stare at them so that they feel uncomfortable, and then they stop and stare at you and they realize that you are watching them. You know, that type of stare. You need to make them aware of your presence. So make them aware that, hey, it's you, it's me, it's the ancient one, right? And then stare at them in a way that makes them aware that you are aware of their presence. So now we are all looking at each other, right? And then do a little bit more than that, but don't just stare at them, but like give them a look of like acknowledgement, to say, hey, I see your situation. I acknowledge you. I am aware not of just you, but of the situation. I see that burning building, my little baby. I see the flames, the fire, the smoke, the collapsing ceiling, the roof. I see that, you know. I see the burning building you are in. I see those towering crashing waves coming in around you, there, senior citizen. I see the sharks and the whales circling. I see them, you know. I see that the Coast Guard is many, many kilometers away and there are no lifeguards, right? I see you being tossed around like a rag doll in those waters. I see you. I acknowledge you. I am aware of you, and I'm aware that you are just a weak, fragile old lady who can barely do anything for herself. And yes, you've made mistakes in your life, but you don't deserve this. You don't deserve to be mugged. You already have so little, and here comes this hooligan taking the little that you have away from you, leaving you completely with nothing, not even a semblance of hope. I see that big, strong, armed, dangerous individual overpowering you very easily. Make them aware that you see them for who they are, and not only the misfortune that they are in, but also the unfairness, the injustice of the situation that they are in. Like, you need to just let them know that you see them for who they are, you know, and that you are aware of the situation that they're in. Right? Look them deep in the eyes, man. Pierce through their soul. And then blink and walk away. Just walk away. You can do so calmly. You don't have to rush or anything. You can do so calmly. You know what? You might as well whistle while you do it. You might as well whistle while you walk away. Right? It's up to you. It's up to you. Right? What you can do, right? What you can do is leave, right? Is leave, and on your way but you don't have to, but you can, is maybe make an anonymous call to the police, like as you're walking away. So you have a choice. You could like do nothing, and walk away and say nothing, make no sound. You could whistle, which is legitimate, or you could call the police. You could call the police. That's an option, but I wouldn't involve myself. in the situation. So I'd leave like like an anonymous tip, that kind of thing. But I really wouldn't like want them to have my details or anything. And if they ask for my details, I'd probably just hang up. Right? Like I've already done too much. That's how I'd feel. And I'll tell you why. And let me explain to you why you should do nothing but walk away. Number one, vigilantism, taking matters into your own hands, taking the law into your own hands, violent, forceful vigilantism. If you are not a member of law enforcement who has been trained, sworn in, has an active contract, and has been given the tools, including gun, arms, weaponry, defensive equipment, and so forth, in order for you to carry out the law as is prescribed to you in your duties, then you are committing a crime. If you are not a police officer, you cannot be taking matters into your own hands. That's called vigilantism, and that is illegal. You are not qualified, nor do you have the capacity or the legal authority to decide within yourself that someone is doing something wrong just by looking at them. So you cannot decide that the counterpart that's being assaulted is being assaulted rightfully or wrongly. You cannot assume that the woman to whom you see being mugged is actually being mugged. She may be the one mugging him. You ever consider that? She may be the one assaulting him and he may only be defending himself, but you wouldn't know that because you've already taken the matter into your own hands, which is illegal. Right? So you cannot decide within and of yourself that someone is doing something wrong and then be so convinced, by your own assumption as to carry out the justice single-handedly, or to even induce your friends and bring your friends in so all of you can start dispensing justice as you see fit. You are going to get sued by the person to whom you assault violently, and you're probably going to get arrested because you were wrong. You are wrong, and you are, in fact, breaking the law, right? There is no situation or set of circumstances where you, a private citizen, is allowed to carry out or to dispense justice in any way, shape, or form. The best you can do is call the police and allow them to investigate. Even if you think, right? Even if you think you are helping the lady being mugged, right? You can't do that. You really cannot do that. You can't help anyone. You cannot help anyone, right? Secondly, you have to understand you are not a trained member of law enforcement. You're also not a firefighter or a paramedic, nor a trained lifeguard or a professional swimmer, right? You are none of these things. So, other than breaking the law, instead of saving an old lady being mugged or a counterpart being assaulted, the chances are that you're going to get yourself beat and probably shot or something to that effect. Like you're going to be hurt with a weapon of some kind, right? And there's no guarantee that after you've been hurt, the bandit is not going to get away with what they wanted. So there's no guarantee that the bandit is not going to continue to assault the counterpart or take the whatever item that it is that they were trying to steal from the fragile little old lady who is struggling to defend herself in our analogy, right? Chances are you're just gonna get yourself hurt, and the bandit gets what they wanted, but you won't be alive to see it. You won't be alive to see it, let alone be there to talk about it and tell everyone what happened. So you're better off just staying alive and then calling the police. That way, you can still be alive to talk about what happened. Simultaneously, you are likely to get caught in a fire. If you try and rescue someone else from a fire, you're probably likely to get caught in the fire and perish yourself. Not from the flames. Most people don't actually perish from flames when it comes to fires. It's the lack of oxygen, because fire consumes a lot of oxygen. So you suffocate to your own demise, right? Or it's from all the smoke, again, from a lack of oxygen. So it's either the smoke or a lack of oxygen. That's really what that's how people meet their demise during fires. And then once you can't get out, then the flames engulf you. So the flames is really the final step of it. It actually happens in a strange way. So the air starts to get thin, and then you fall asleep, and then you're gone, right? Because then you struggle to, you just fall asleep. You just sort of doze off. You don't even know what's happening. So just think about that. So you could perish and meet your own doom trying to rescue a baby, and then while you are perishing, here come the professionals and then rescue the baby anyway. Just think about that. But there you are, trying to be a hero, with no training, no experience, no qualifications, and instead of being helpful, you're actually in the way, and you're being a hindrance to the process. You're actually being an obstacle, and you're stopping the professionals from doing what they need to do. Which, by the way, can also get you arrested, assuming that you survive the experience. And as for saving a person from drowning, no way, man. No way, no way. If you don't know how to swim, or if you're like me, who is quite proficient in swimming, but hasn't swam in years. I mean, in years. Like, my primary exercise now is running. I haven't swam in years. I haven't been inside of a pool or the ocean in years. The the last time I was at the beach wasn't very long ago, actually. I just sort of stood there and looked at the water, took some pictures, made some content, and left. That's really what I did. And I bought something to drink on the way out, which I regretted. I should have just went to, you know, the Star coffee shop. The Buck Star. You know who I'm talking about. I like their product, but I just don't want to mention them in case they just don't want to be associated with someone like me, which is reasonable because I've already been banned everywhere else. So but the Buck Star, you know what I mean. I like their product. It's a bit expensive though. It's a bit pricey. Honestly, I think they could benefit from cutting those prices in half. Personally, I think they could benefit from cutting those prices right into half. But, there I am still drinking the product at the price that they're selling. So, you know, it is what it is. Back to saving lives, right? Back to saving lives. If you're trying to rescue somebody from drowning, you're gonna drown yourself. That's just the truth of it. I'm trying to find a clever way of telling you that you're gonna drown yourself. There's no realistic way where you, a normal person, right, like me who just runs, hasn't been to hasn't swam in years. There's no way that you are gonna battle the ocean. As a person who's familiar with swimming and how long it can take for you to get conditioned, just to swim effectively in a pool, there's no way you're going to battle the ocean by yourself to save yourself, even as a good swimmer. Let alone save somebody else, and then save yourself too, and fight the ocean as well. No way. You're not doing that. You are going to drown. And if you look carefully, in every case where you wanted to be a hero, the outcome has been calamity, right? The outcome is that you are either going to end up breaking the law, endangering yourself, or endangering other people unnecessarily, right? It's just a calamity everywhere. And there is a situation in life where you are better off doing nothing. There are so many situations where you are better off just staying where you are and keep doing what you're doing rather than trying to change and then face tremendous loss and incur a miserable outcome. There are just so many situations where I really adopt this strategy of doing nothing very often. I started the vasectomy life. It was the bachelor life, and all I did was switch out the word bachelor for vasectomy. But hey, it's the vasectomy life now, right? We're upgrading. We're upgrading, right? Reinvent yourself, people. Reinvent yourself. But it came from really just sitting around doing nothing. Yes, I'd had an inclination to share this message in a meaningful way, and I hope I'm doing that. Even if, by the way, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. Even if I'm not like killing it and I'm not the most popular person online. But, just the message being out there is sufficient and satisfactory for me. I had been doing nothing for a very long time, which had benefited me a lot when I considered doing this. And I weighed the benefits and the negatives. I knew on the one hand it would take a long time. I mean, you gotta collect the information and do it. On the other hand, I knew there would be very little reward for it. I'm not gonna get any popularity. I'm not gonna get any notoriety. I'm not gonna get any credit for this. Nobody's gonna know my face. What they will know is the message, which is freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. I believe that the message was important enough that it would warrant the time, it would justify the research, and indeed it would pay off in its own way, not to me, but we may even see a rise of vasectomites. Not because of me, not because there's the ancient one coming out here saying get a vasectomy every day, but because at some point I'm expecting the conversation about a vasectomy to be normalized, to be something that can be discussed as an option or something that can be discussed and discarded, right? But you'll talk about it and throw it away, and then talk about it and throw it away, and realize that it keeps coming back, right? It's like the LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. Yes, we're still having that conversation, right? It's like that. It's like that. You throw it away and it just keeps coming back, right? And if people can have that conversation over and over and over again with no resolution, we can have the conversation of a vasectomy with no resolution. But as long as I think it becomes normalized, that to me is a victory. That to me is a victory, right? So there would have been a benefit of doing nothing. To me, the benefit of doing nothing and the outcome of doing these videos is more or less the same. It was either this or sit all day making memes, right? Making memes, downloading photos and making memes, which pretty much takes the same amount of time. But I find this could be a little bit more satisfying, more gratifying, and it can reach a meaningful audience, right? There's a meaningfulness to this. Now, don't get me wrong, I was getting there was a point before I got banned where I had like 50,000 interactions and views on my platform in like less than 30 days. Like I was getting along, right? And then I got banned because my message was a little bit on the nose. And I didn't really take the time to be careful with my words. So, I faced the consequences. But then after a while, it really proved to me that I wasn't gaining anything and I wasn't really losing anything. And really what I was benefiting was a form of expression, getting the message that I had inside of me out there. So I then decided to do this, which is to me better than nothing, right? So I see an advantage, so I move forward. Now others may not. Others may have been doing this for the reason of making money. Oh, that's a bad idea. Doing social media to make money. Going on a free platform where people can watch you for free and then say, don't watch me for free. Yeah, good luck with all that. Good luck with all that. But let's go back to doing nothing. Let's go back to doing nothing. We are so good at doing nothing right now, right? I mean, I'm practically doing nothing right now, to be honest with you. I'm not even recording this video in any kind of studio with any kind of fancy equipment. Like, nah. So let's continue doing nothing, right? And I hope by now you can tell where I'm going with this, right? I'm going straight to the romance wars, right? And there are plenty of moments in these relationships, in dating, and these marriages where doing nothing is really the best thing you can do. Just not doing anything at all. I'll give you an instance. I mean, let me ask you this. Do you think that you should spend your hard-earned money dating a woman who is also dating another woman or another man? Do you think that you should do that, or you'd be better off just doing nothing? Wouldn't you be better off just sitting at home, just watching sports highlights by yourself, drinking a cup of tea, or making a video like this, right? Should you be intimate with a counterpart without freezing your sperm or getting a vasectomy? Should you risk her getting inseminated and pregnant, putting you on 18 years of child support? And don't think she won't. Don't think for a single moment she's going to be raising that child without running through your pockets. Should you do that? Or aren't you better off just doing nothing instead? I mean, even if you don't have a vasectomy, let's say you don't have a vasectomy and you want to be intimate with a counterpart, should you do that? Or are you just better off doing nothing? Are you not just better off maybe going on to YouTube and watching the ancient one? All right. Let me ask you this. Do you think you should get married? Should you have those kids? Should you have another kid? If you already have kids, should you have another one? If you don't have kids, should you have kids? Should you continue to provide and protect for that happy house or that happy spouse in that happy house? Nurturing that relationship? Is that what you think you should do? Or are you better off just doing nothing? Should you get divorced? And should you trigger the tenets of the dark dimension? The tenets of the dark dimension: alimony, child support, lawyer fees, assets loss, retirement loss, broken family, homelessness, sickness, mental illness, substance abuse, lack of confidence, lack of health, and on and on and on are the consequences of the dark dimension. Should you do that? Or aren't you just better off doing absolutely nothing? Wouldn't you just be better off just standing where you are and taking no action rather than taking the action that you think you should take? Aren't you just better off doing nothing? In my opinion, in most cases in life, you are better off doing nothing. You are better off saving your money. You are better off not getting her inseminated and pregnant. You are better off not getting married just to get divorced. And you are going to get divorced. Do not doubt that for a second. You are better off Think about it like this. If you have a choice again in a multiple choice question, right? You're better off not answering that question than getting that answer wrong, right? Because then your teacher has to look at it and then grade it and think about it, grade it and mark it wrong. When they can see there's nothing there, they could just mark it wrong and move on with their lives, right? Rather than having to, read through your nonsense. There are so many situations where doing nothing is better and has better and more tangible outcomes than taking an action that will cause failure. You're better off just doing nothing than putting yourself in a situation where you're going to have to spend the rest of your life living out the consequences of your failures and the consequences of the dark dimension. I really cannot tell you how many situations there have been where taking one action or taking another action would have led to catastrophe, and I thought I was better off doing nothing. And now living a bachelor's life, fully, having committed to myself, making a promise saying that, hey, I'm out the game, I'm not gonna be dating, no relationships, none whatsoever. None whatsoever. This is not to imply like I'm not gonna go eat and socialize with people, but absolutely no relationships. Absolutely no relationships. I'm at a point where I'm trying to decide how many intimate encounters is enough with the counterpart, right? I'm stuck between one and two intimate encounters. Like we have an intimate encounter and then we part ways and then return, have another intimate encounter and then part ways and never see each other again, or just one is enough, you know. But maybe two, maybe two. Three is way too much. There's no way I'm having three intimate encounters with the same counterpart. No way. That's too much of a commitment. That's way too much of a commitment. I'm better off doing nothing. This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Where some people may see an advantage with like being with a counterpart one, two, three, four, 5 times. Me, after 2 times, it's too close to a relationship. It's too close to us seeing each other. It's too close to us having each other's phone numbers and emails. Like that's too far. Like if you have my email, that's way too far, man. Like that's just way too much commitment. Like I don't understand why a counterpart needs to be having my email. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how far it is. Like oh man, even my phone number is a bit much, but I suppose you're gonna need the phone number for something, right? And I'm definitely not getting no emails from you. So I'd be better off doing nothing than giving a counterpart my email. And this is the kind of situations that I'm talking about. If you weigh out the situations in life that you're in, any action that you should probably take or not take, should I go out tonight or am I better off just doing nothing, sitting at home, chilling in my most comfortable clothes, watching the shows that I like, pausing them and then playing them and then pausing them and then playing them anytime I want 100,000 times should I choose so. Skipping from one show to the next show just to come back and watch the other show again in random order as I choose. Aren't you better off doing that, doing absolutely nothing, than you are getting dressed, putting on your best shoes, your best shirt, your cologne, lining up your beard, lining up your hair, you know, looking good, getting in your car, putting in the fuel, driving all night long from one place to the next place, spending money in that place, spending money in that place, spending money in another place just for you to drive all the way back home where you were to begin with. Aren't you better off just doing nothing? In my opinion, I think you're better off doing absolutely nothing rather than incurring these financial, physical, emotional, and mental losses. And as usual, here is our daily edification. Guys, you can always be sure there's going to be some type of article or some reading on this platform. Your brain is going to do some work, right? Either from my machinations, my strategies, my connecting of the dots, right? Either through the works of Sun Tzu, the grandmaster of the deceptive arts, or through the other works of academics and professional writers, or really amateur writers too. I'll read the works of amateur writers. But I can assure you on this platform, the brain will work. You are gonna need to think. You are gonna need to think in a serious, concise, and logical way if you are going to be successful in any endeavor. So, yeah, let's get on with the readings, right? Let's get on with the edification. That's really what it is. It's there to make you think, it's there to make you analyze, it's there to make you contemplate, and it's also there to make you aware of different tools of expression used by professionals, right? You can pay somebody $1 million to learn the information, and if you think I'm kidding, go ask a parent how much they've spent on that education. You can pay $1 million to get this, this type of daily edification, or you can come here and get it with me for absolutely free. And the only thing that you might have to pay is getting tired of hearing me say the same thing every day: freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. But do not be fooled. Do not be fooled into thinking I am going to just entertain you for the sake of entertainment. No, your brain is going to work. 6 health benefits of taking time to do nothing. Since we're talking about work, there my words come right back to me. Henry Ford health staff put this article together. They didn't credit any particular person, but they did publish it on the 23rd of December in 2022. Their website is www.henryford.com, and of course there is the link to the direct article that we are going to read today. This is not the full article. It is an excerpt that leaves out the final part of it, which really tells you how to relax. They're like tips on how to take time off. We don't need tips on how to take time off. Humanity does not need tips on how to take time off. Humanity needs tips on how to get to work. That is the absolute truth. But the article reads, or rather the excerpt from the article reads, amongst our busy schedules, by the way, that word is not schedule, it's schedule. Many of us try to, I'm going to take a moment here. You know what's a word that people mispronounce often? The word is often. You know what? I might just do a video on words that people mispronounce. The word is often. It's not often. It's not often. You don't say, I'm going to get my knife. You say, I'm going to get my knife, right? You don't say you bend the knee, you knee benders, right? You bend the knee. You don't pronounce the T in often. Who does that? Who educated you people, man? It's not often. Stop trying to sound foreign or exotic in your accent. The word is often. The T is silent. It has always been. Come on, man. Oh, nothing grinds me more than the word often. When everybody's like, oh, I often. Oh, no, you don't often nothing. You can't often nothing. There's no thing as often. It doesn't exist. How can you do something often? No, that means you don't do it at all. If you say, I do my show often, that means you're not doing the show at all, because the word often does not exist. The word is often. Man, it just grinds me the wrong way. You get people with PhDs saying often. Give me a break, man. Let me try this article again. Amidst our busy schedules, many of us try to power through the day without a break. When we do something, yeah, that's me. That's me. I often go right through the day with no breaks. When we do have some downtime, we often turn to electronic devices to fill the gaps. Yeah, when I'm sitting down, it usually means I have to like put together a document or something. There's really no time where I'm sitting doing nothing, right? I'm sitting for a purpose or I'm standing for a purpose, but I will power through the day on my feet all day long. And then sit so that I can do a task that requires sitting, like typing or writing or signing documents or that kind of thing, completing all kinds of things. But yeah, really, yeah, no downtime for me. When you do have yes, and then when I do have downtime, I might go online to look at some meaningless things just so that I can rest my brain and dumb it down, and cool it down. But yeah, really, that's why I would say I go into social media to hear and see nonsense, things that mean nothing to me, right? That's really why I would go into social media. I don't go into social media to find meaning. I go into social media for the lack of meaning. It continues. But research shows that eliminating distractions, taking time to do nothing, and even daydreaming, just letting your mind wander, improve mental health, productivity, and creativity. Sure, I can understand that. I don't mind letting your mind wander at a time when your mind is supposed to be wandering, right? My mind wanders all the time. So, for instance, if I'm running and I'm not like playing the audiobook of The Art of War or something like that, I might sit very quietly and let my mind wander and just, go through some of my own thoughts and analyze them and strategize, on how to move forward, that kind of thing. Sometimes we need to idle the engine and just be a well placed time out can be extremely effective, improving your ability to innovate, reason, and be present in your daily life, says Dr. Lisa McLean, a psychiatrist at Henry Ford Health. Benefits of doing nothing. Periods of doing nothing shouldn't be confused, I beg your pardon, with laziness or lack of drive. Instead, Dr. McLean advises recognizing the mental health benefits of daydreaming, which include number one, aiding problem solving. Breaks improve your ability to think logically, problem solve, and make decisions. So, in the situation that we described, where you see somebody being assaulted or you see somebody drowning or in need of some help or assistance, right? Taking a moment to do absolutely nothing is going to help you to think logically. This is true. Just taking like a few seconds, even a minute, to look at the situation clearly and realize that one, if I go in that building, I'm going to get burned. Two, if I go and intervene in that woman, I may get hurt. And three, if I jump into that into that river, into that ocean with that person that's drowning, I'm going to drown myself. Then you consider, if I get married and have these kids, what's going to happen? Just think logically, right? Think logically and problem solve. Let's assume that there's a problem that arises from having kids and getting married. What could that problem be? Could it be child support and alimony? Good. Okay, we're on the same page. Now, what would happen should you get divorced and be put on alimony? Right? They'll run right through your pockets, correct? The lawyers will come, the sharks will come, and so forth. Right. So now we're thinking logically. Right? Take the time to do nothing, then you can think logically. I did. I took months just sitting thinking about this vasectomy. How can I do it? When can I do it? How much will it cost? How will it be? Calculating. And then I solved the problem and took the action. Right? So take the time, do absolutely nothing. Look at the situation and then think of yourself and then ask yourself, in your full capacity, do you have what it takes to resolve the situation? You have somebody who's addicted to illicit substances. Now ask yourself, what experience do you have in dealing with people who need help with illicit substances? If the answer is zero, you need to stay away from those people because chances are you're just going to make things worse. That's the truth of it, right? So if you see somebody that's injured or hurt, you have no experience being a paramedic and whatnot, the chances are when you get there, you're just gonna make things worse. This is the truth. You jump into that ocean, you're gonna make things worse. You get into that house, you're gonna make things worse. You get into that marriage, you are gonna make things worse. Look at your life realistically and ask yourself, how many things have you actually made better? Not like bought them, like let's say you buy a car and it's brand new. And then when you sell it, the car is in a better condition than what you bought it. When you buy a computer and it's brand new and you sell that computer, is it in a better condition than what you bought it? The answer is always no. So why now do you think that you could make things better? You are better off doing absolutely nothing. Doing absolutely nothing is the most logical thing a human being can do. Unless you are trained and skilled in one particular thing, right? So if you are a trained orator, or you are an artist, or a skilled fighter or an athlete or some kind, you're better off doing nothing. It's like coming off the stands, right, as a supporter and joining your favorite football team because it's a dream to play with these guys, and now you have to play at the high level, at the highest possible level, for 120 minutes or however long the game will go. You're not doing that. Your chances are you're gonna make things worse. You're better off doing absolutely nothing. So doing nothing apparently boosts creativity. Sure, I'll agree with that. Like I said, when I was, in fact, many times I'll sit around and think about things to do, how to do, where to go, vacations, trips, work, all kinds of things, strategizing in and of myself on how to make things better moving forward for me, right? So you need the time for that. You need the time for the mind to work, and delineate and come out with calculations and outcome, right? So you need the time to be creative. And doing nothing can give your mind time to be creative, right? It can give your mind time to exercise those faculties. When you allow your mind to wander, you're more likely to think of an innovative idea. After all, Sir Isaac Newton's theory about gravity was inspired after he observed an apple falling while he was just walking in an orchard. So, yeah, right. So it was when he was doing nothing that something happened, right? So it's think of it like there was I think it was a great composer once said, a true artist thinks about his unfinished work the whole time. He's not always aware of it, but he's conscious of it when he suddenly knows what to do. So it's like you might be having an idea in your mind. How do I express this? How do I express this? And then, just as you fall asleep, the solution comes, or just as you're relaxing, just as your mind becomes less tense, a solution comes into your mind. This has happened to me, but then there's also the opposite where your mind relaxes and then you forget important things. But this isn't that, right? This isn't that. This is doing nothing in terms of self preservation, right? Number three, improving learning. Have you ever felt overwhelmed after listening to a long lecture or reading for hours? Yeah, yeah. I think we just talked about that. Taking a break gives your brain time to process, consolidate, and store the information you've learned. It is my hypothesis that you spend the day gathering information. So all throughout the day, your body is receiving information. And then while you are sleeping in the most relaxed state, your brain categorizes the information, sorts it out, and deletes that which it doesn't need, right? So things like you washing your hands, the brain's not going to remember that. You sneezing, depending on the sneeze, the brain might just discard that, right? But Otherwise, it's when you're sleeping that your information gets stored in a useful way. That's why you need sleep. That's why you need a combination of being able to receive information, either through reading articles and whatnot. Reading actually exercise is actually exercise for the brain. Makes you much smarter and the brain actually much stronger physically, right? So it's proven that reading actually makes your brain stronger physically, like it develops it as a muscle, just as you would lifting weights, right? It's incredible. Reading and running does that. But yes, taking a break, downtime can also help consolidate the information that you've learned. But you need to have learned some information in order for this to be effective, right? You can't just be like, well, I'm going to take a break, having learned nothing, and then say, hey, why don't I know nothing? Right? It's just not gonna work like that. So you need a combination of two: one to receive, and in a moment to comprehend. Number four, increasing productivity. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Right? If you don't drown, you continue to be productive. You don't perish in a fire, you continue to be productive. You don't get yourself beaten up, you will continue to be productive. So, yes, I agree. Doing nothing, especially for other people, in and of other people, is very productive, right? And I also mentioned there's a situation where you do something that ends up being unproductive, where you do something that ends up becoming a loss or a failure, and you were better off just doing nothing. Having you done nothing, you would have been just as productive as had you take this stance or this move. In fact, maybe even more productive. Because if you had done nothing, you would have lost nothing. But now you've taken the action, you've lost resources, you've lost time, you've lost, efficacy. Now you've lost energy, you're tired, all kinds of things down the drain, right? Just because you wanted to take an action. Research has found that taking breaks improves concentration and attention, making you even more efficient and productive when you return to tasks. Sure. There's a combination of things that's happening here. So on the one hand, there's a point where you build momentum, right? And you want to ride that momentum. And then the momentum ends and you start to get sluggish, right? In that case, you could still be productive on the down curve, but there's a point where the productivity stops and you start to become unproductive. That's the point where you need to stop doing things. So even on like a down curve, like there are times where I got documents to make and things to do, and I'll do them, but do them slowly, right? But it's when I start making like calculation mistakes and all kinds of things, that's when I know, okay, now I'm tired. Uh, I need to stop, right? I'm tired now, so I need to stop. So it's in moments like that, right? It's in moments like that where you start to become unproductive that you need to stop. Number six, we're actually moving through this list pretty quickly. Number six, inspiring kindness. Taking time for reflection can inspire you to look beyond your own needs and help others. Being alone can spark a search for a larger sense of purpose. A break can prompt you to try meaningful activities that extend beyond your own life. Okay, sure. I don't know why this makes you kinder, right? But sure, if you have a moment to reflect, maybe it can help you look beyond yourself. If you look at the situation, like I took a moment to reflect on my situation, and I compared my situation with like a cashier or something, and that made me grateful for my situation. It made me want to work harder. It made me want to be successful. It made me want to not take unnecessary dangerous risks, that kind of thing, and remain on a positive scale, right? It There's nothing really that makes me inclined to want to do things for other people. I'm really not that kind of person. I'm a narcissist, man. you know. Yeah, so I'll do activities beyond my own life, but I think this platform here is about as far as I'm going in terms of philanthropy and helping other people. It's just not in my nature. I told you I'm a narcissist. I'm not even like a narcissist, like maliciously. People will use the word narcissist maliciously and they say, "Oh, he is a narcissist," even though most men are not. I will tell you that as a textbook narcissist, I will tell you that most men are actually not narcissists. Most men are actually self-sacrificing in just the most tremendous way, a way that I could never understand. Like, I went and had a vasectomy just so that I don't have to give my money to children, my own children. Most men are not like that. Most men will give up everything for their unborn kids. Not even the ones that are alive. They're already ready to sacrifice everything for a child that isn't even born. So I can understand from your perspective why taking time out, you might want to use that time to volunteer and to do other things. I'm using my time to extend my own message, my own contribution to the bachelor life. I'm not you, and I hope this message is helpful to you. I really hope so. Like, I think it will be, but there's really a piece of this of me just stamping my flag at the top of humanity's evolution. That's really what it really comes down to in terms of narcissism. Get a vasectomy, freeze your sperm, change the entire dynamic of male fertility, and then call it evolution and put myself at the top of that evolution. That's narcissism. This is not what your husband does. Your husband wakes up every day and goes and slaves so that you can sit and watch Netflix. If you honestly think you're going to live in my house, eat my food, breathe my air, I mean, just huffing and puffing all day long. I come home, the air is thin in this house because you've been breathing it all day long. Air just gone out the room because of you. And then I walk in there, you take the last big gasp, huh? You finish all the air. And there you are. Just you with no air in the room. You think I'm gonna tolerate that from someone? You think I'm gonna go slave so you can sit there and finish my air? No. No, never. I'd rather get a vasectomy than have you sitting in my house breathing my air. You see the problem? And I'm not even kidding. This is not what your husband does. Your husband will let you have his air, his food, his house, his car, his clothes, his pension, his children, his everything. I wouldn't even give you air. That's narcissism. That's true narcissism. You're never going to hear a better expression of narcissism than that. Than a person who sees themselves as evolved beyond humanity. So much so that he wouldn't even share his breath with you, the mother of his kids. Yeah, yeah. I just thought, you know what? I'm better off just getting a vasectomy. This is narcissism. And women say, oh, my husband was a narcissist. All he did was pay the bills. No. Narcissists don't pay. You think I'm going to pay your bills? You are out of your mind. I have never paid a bill other than my own. I swear on my life. The only time I believe I actually did pay somebody's bills was I gave them a loan and they used that loan to pay their bills and I got that money back and never spoke to that person again. The inconvenience it took me just to come back and get my money. I had to drive to get my money. That was a problem for me. That was a problem for me. So, just think about how your husband treats you. Is your husband truly a selfless person? Does his free time inspire kindness? Because mine does not. Not for a single solitary moment. I mean, really, really, you think I'm gonna get a vasectomy and then live my life for other people? No, why would I do that? It doesn't make any logical sense. What kind of person does that, man? No, man, that's childish. You're gonna get a vasectomy and then bend the knee. No, 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 no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We evolve and we move past humanity's pettiness, looking for love and happiness and whatnot. Nah, just freeze your sperm. Get a vasectomy. Number six, uplifting mood. Absolutely. Absolutely doing nothing uplifts my mood. Let me tell you when I love doing nothing the most. When I see someone like a knee bender or a counterpart, especially a young knee bender and a young counterpart, who's so used to having their parents' protection and covering them, they think that everyone and every adult that they meet is going to be inclined to participate with them the way that their parents do. So they think that it is everyone's, especially like very young ones, they think that it's every adult's job to protect them. So, for instance, because they have all their teachers are adults, counselors, clergy members, parents, the people at the shop that provide services and goods for them. They think that all these people are there to protect them. And then what they'll do, these people, they'll put themselves in a situation where they want or they need the protection of an adult, right? And then they'll just perform and then find themselves in peril and in catastrophe. You know, they'll do something that they think somebody's gonna come and save them, and you see them fall flat on their face, like when a kid is used to like falling and their dad catches them, and they fall and their dad catches them, and then they see somebody who is dad like, and then they go out of their way to fall and then no one catches them. Oh, it is a full blown collapse of epic proportion. I love seeing that. I love seeing that. I love seeing when somebody expects you to do something for them and then you do nothing and they feel the consequences of their decision, right? And that's how kids learn. That's really how kids learn. Not by being hurt by others, but by hurting themselves. And then people just sort of look at them and say, hey man, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that, right? Everyone can feel overwhelmed by work, school, and family responsibilities, but resting your mind helps to recharge and regulate your emotions. Indeed, it does. It also allows you to find pleasure in idleness and savor an experience. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. When there's a moment where something delightful is going on, like these kids jumping out of things and landing flat on their face, hurting themselves, scarring themselves. There's a terrible situation. It's not something that that I wish would happen to anyone, but I'm gonna describe it anyway. There was a young man, a teenager, who really was trying to rob a vending machine, right? So I don't know if what had happened was he saw in the vending machine, when there's an item of food that looks like it's kind of sort of about to fall, like it's just on the edge, like if you just shake it a little bit and it'll fall, right? And then you can get something for free. So it was one of those situations. Now, he is not aware that these machines are meticulously designed. Like they are designed to hold on to that thing until you pay, right? So you pay and then it'll turn. So if it, like the manufacturers, they know that there is a point to which that this machine can hold an item, and there's a point to which that the item will fall, and that thing will not rotate beyond that point. This young man, this young knee bender, thought he could make it rotate. He thought he could just shake it a little bit. And he shook, and he shook, and he shook, and I'm sure somebody kept telling him to just stop. And the more they told him to stop, the more he kept shaking. And eventually, this entire vending machine, this massive, gigantic machine, fell right on him. Face first. I mean, he fell flat on his back, and the machine just landed right on him. The glass broke everywhere on his face. He was cut up into pieces. You could see, like at the time that he was describing this was in his court case, right? He said he had paid and something had happened, blah, 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 blah. He was, of course, lying. He hadn't paid anything. But the damage was so severe that he was suing the people, the manufacturers, for a dysfunctional product or something, which was perfectly fine until he started shaking it, right? And the lady said, "Look, if you had used our product as it was intended and as described, none of this would have happened to you." Of course, the company had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to settle the case, and the young man is now scarred for life. That money is not worth it. Like I think he got something like $35,000 or something. I'm gonna tell you something. That money is not worth it. Even if they gave him $100,000, it is not worth it. The pain that he had to endure, the reconstructive, just the healing process from the reconstructive surgery, and then to look at yourself afterwards, scars, like gashing, gaping scars all over his face. I mean, he has stitches that are like 5 inches long, like just go across all the one side of his face. It's just nothing but scars, 4 or 5 inches long. I mean, can you imagine sewing that face back together again? Can you imagine that? Now, I'm not saying this is a good thing, but this is a situation where he would have been better off doing nothing. I mean, he would have just been better off just ignoring that situation as a whole. But he did it and he went too far. Even the money they paid him, man, the judge just said, the sort of circumstances didn't make any sense. And then the judge awarded him some money anyway. Like he didn't even celebrate the victory, man. He just took the money and, it was bland. The lawyer for the company, she didn't even feel the loss. It was an inconsequential amount of money to the company, and it was an inconsequential amount of money to that young man. All because he didn't do anything. And these are the kinds of situations that I'm talking about. Like, you get kids that will jump off of 2-story buildings. Just jump off the roof, trying to jump into a swimming pool, thinking he's going to make it. Thinking he's got the angles on his side, and he doesn't. He saw it in a movie, not realizing that those people are literally held together by like heavy duty wire and all kinds of things, and the floor is padded with all kinds of soft cushions in case something happens, right? But he sees that and he thinks he can pull this off, and then nothing. These kind of people, for me, I will stand there and do nothing. I would have told him, "Hey man, stop." I would have maybe pulled him over if I was the authority figure, because I wouldn't be part of the student body in this case. I'd probably be an authority figure. I would have removed him from that situation. I would have removed him completely, right? And then chastised him and told his misfit self to get back in line. But he would have probably ignored me and went on to it with it right ahead, and then catastrophe. This is what befalls them. And now imagine being the person trying to prevent this vending machine from falling on this young man, filled with all kinds of things. So this machine wasn't empty. This machine was full. It was full of drinks. It was full of coins. It was full of money. It was full of everything, and it was heavy. And it must have weighed a ton. literally a few 100 kilograms or a ton landing on that boy. I mean, he passed out. He was knocked out. When he woke up, his whole face was a mess. And he done it to himself. You know, you're better off not helping these people, man. This is the kind of situations that I'm talking about. These people don't want to be saved. These people, you put yourself in a situation where you need to be saved. That means you don't want to be saved. It concludes doing nothing can trigger a continuous chain of benefits as your productivity improve, I beg your pardon, so do your mood and overall well-being. As you boost your mental health, you're more likely to look for ways to help others. Nah, Dr. McLean says, nah, I'm not helping anyone. I'm not inclined to do so. This is the end of the excerpt. Very meaningful excerpt if you combine it with our own philosophy of freezing yourself. You're freezing your sperm, not yourself, rather. Freeze your sperm, get yourself a vasectomy, protect yourself, protect your seed, protect your solitude. Right? This is the best move that you can make for yourself in this life. That way you don't have to have no kids. You will not have any kids. I guarantee you that. You get a vasectomy. I absolutely guarantee you you will not have kids. What I can also guarantee you is peace of mind. I absolutely guarantee you peace of mind. This is the action that you want to take. The other actions are only going to lead you down one path, and that is the path to the dark dimension. Marriage, kids, alimony, child support, 21 years of child raising, college fees, tuitions, and then when they start dating, you don't even want to know. The last thing that I want to deal with in my life are teenage dating habits. I could care less what these children are doing. Now they're holding each other's hands in secret. Man, I could care less about that stuff. And there's a parent out there just like, watching their child dating, just knowing the calamity that's about to happen in their child's life. And there they are, their child dating, having boyfriends, whatnot. I don't need those problems, man. I'm not even interested, right? I don't need nothing of the sort. I'm better off doing nothing. And so are you. You're better off doing nothing than being a father raising kids or bending that knee, right? Having these fledglings destroy your life and your furniture and your electronics. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. That's exactly what they're going to do. So go ahead, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, and then think about why you can do nothing, the benefits of doing nothing. There are days where I'll do absolutely nothing, and I think to myself, there's somebody right now chasing down some kid. There's somebody right now, you know, doing some afternoon activity with some kid. You know, I was with a colleague of mine one time, and I asked him, how was your weekend? And and he was like, man, his weekend was terrible. He spent the whole day at the doctor's office because his kid was sick. I was like, oh my God, that's something that never even crossed my mind. That you could spend the whole day. It was a Monday morning. It never occurred to me that you could spend the whole day on Sunday at the doctor's office because your kid is sick. Never crossed my mind. And now it's Monday morning. The kid is still sick. He has to come to work with no rest, exhausted, and then deal with all the rigors of work. I would literally spend that day getting a haircut. The highlight of my day when he was busy doing whatnot was getting a haircut. Just think about that, man, when you want to have kids. You know what? You have a choice. You can have kids or you can get a vasectomy. There is a choice, and you're the one that has to make it. You really have to make that choice. You know, to me, the benefits of getting a vasectomy are just as good as the benefits of doing nothing in the romance wars. Compared to doing what you're gonna do, and then now, I mean, he's gonna, I don't know how many Sundays he spent with a sick kid just for you to be like divorced in the end and ruined. You know what I mean? You're better off just doing nothing. Or If you're gonna take an action, like this video, right? You know what? I'm actually gonna do a video on the benefits of likes. I keep asking for likes. I don't even know why I'm asking for likes. Let me find out what the benefits of likes are. You know what? Stop with the likes. Don't like nothing. Let me find out what the benefits of these likes actually are before I start asking for them. So yeah, don't like the video until we know exactly what we're doing. However, I would recommend that if you know somebody that's thinking of taking a ridiculous action like having kids, getting married, bending the knee, entering the dark dimension, or anything else, just advise them of this video. Let them know that they have the option of not doing that. And you say to them, well, what else am I going to do? Nothing. You're going to do absolutely nothing. Or you can enter the dark dimension and see for yourself. By the way, the dark dimension is for life, right? There's no coming out of the dark dimension. You know, you can unbend that knee, but you're not coming out of the dark dimension, right? You'll always have one foot in the dark dimension, especially if you have kids. Oh man, you'll be 30, like your kids will be 35 years old. You'll be in your 60s, and they'll call you and be like, "Hey, ancient dad, I need to come home." And you'll be like, what? You'll be like, yeah, ancient dad, I need to come home. And they'll be there forever. You know, there are people in their 40s that'll be like, yeah, my mom lives with me. No, you live with your mom, right? So, like, and for me, I'm one who would abandon family completely, right? I'm one who's of the let them all go, abandon the whole family, you know. But please share this video with somebody of that notion. Let them be aware they don't have to do nothing, right? They don't have to do this action. They're better off doing nothing. Also, please leave a comment if you have something to add, and I will respond to you promptly, right? I'm small enough that I can do that and have a meaningful conversation with anyone that's interested in having a conversation with me. But after hearing me talk for over an hour, I doubt that you might want to hear anything further from me. So as I say goodbye, I'd like to say freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your understanding and your patience. I appreciate it, and I always will. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, and I'd like to wish you a wonderful, wonderful day.